What's up guys, it's Kit Dale here from kitdaletraining.com. I know it's been a while since I did a video. We've been moving house and we've just moved in and it's a fucking awesome apartment. So I'm going to be able to do heaps more videos in a much better environment. It's much clearer and my setup is great. I know you can't see it, but it's awesome. So there's going to be a lot more videos to come, so stay tuned for that. Before I start, make sure you like and subscribe to this page to get all my videos. And if you're not following me on Instagram, Kit_Dale_official over there as well. Today we're going to talk about how to defeat your opponent stylistically. Now, I've been playing a lot of poker lately, which is good and bad. It's good because I'm learning a lot. It's bad because I'm spending a lot and losing a lot. I've actually done pretty good. I've played 5 games so far and I've won 2 of them out of the 5, which was quite good for only ever playing 5 games. Last night was a really bad game. I had the worst hand I've ever had dealt in my life. And I know there's good days and there's bad days. You know, some days everything's going right for you. Other days you're walking down the street and you step in some homeless man's dog poo. Well, last night was as if I fell over headfirst into that dog poo and ate a whole lot of it. That was my hands last night. But anyway, it's a different story. The thing that I've been finding really interesting lately in poker that really transcends poker into martial arts and life in general is the stylistic element of it. You can't approach everyone the same way. And you have to make sure that you're always changing your approach because people will work you out and read you. Poker's all about bluffing when you have shit hands and bluffing when you have good hands. When you have a really good hand that you know you can win a big pot, you need to make everyone think that you're lying so they put all their money in and then you take it. When you have a really bad hand, you have to make everyone think that you've got something really good that makes them shit themselves and fold. And if you don't do that right, you're going to have problems. Now, everyone does that quite differently, so it's really important for you to learn how to read your opponents and get a good gist of them. The hard thing in martial arts with this is it takes a long time to really get an honest reading of your opponent. I know when I'm training with people, like the first thing I start doing is I start feeling and reading them. And what I they do that in poker as well, where they lose a few hands on purpose for small money just to get an understanding of what their opponent is playing or the way their opponent is playing. And then later on, when the big hands matter, they've got a better reading for them. Now, I do this a lot in training, where I'll start training with someone and I'll let them do a lot of stuff. I'll take big risks to let them submit me and do things or give them a lot of leeway to see what they like to do. And then after a while, I start working them out. And then little by little, I start taking away or reading them and predicting what they're doing, and it gets worse and worse. It's always been like that with the way I approach jiu-jitsu. Now, the hardest thing to do that is to do that in competition because you don't have much time. And I've tried to do it sometimes, and I've lost matches against people I probably should have beaten because I risked something to just see what he liked to do, and then suddenly he gets 2 points on me and holds and shuts down the whole match. And I can't get that back. And I've lost like that. I lost like that to Murillo Santana. I was up in his guard and I basically stood up with my legs close together to see if he would have the confidence to stand up. And he grabbed both my legs and double-legged me and took me down. And then I swept him back, but we ran out of bounds. The point is, I took a risk at probably the wrong time. Now, you don't want to have to do this. You want to do this a lot more of an intelligent way. And this way I'm going to talk about is the way I approach matches where I do not know my opponents. Now, before your match, obviously, you're not going to have much of an idea on people that you've never seen before. But what you can find out is based on their body type. Okay, maybe they're really short and stocky. Maybe they're really tall and lanky. That tells a big story about the type of game they're going to play, or at least the type of game they're going to be very dangerous in. Now, this also depends on your own body type. So I'm going to use mine as an example right now. I'm shorter than average, and I'm probably more muscular and wide than average. So the people I'm competing against in middle heavy division, because I'm 5'9", and I'm competing against guys that are usually around 6'1" mark and more wiry than me. So I've got to understand one thing. The moment I'm coming against someone that's taller than me and skinnier, I've got to look at the attributes that they're going to have. Okay, they're going to have a reach advantage. So that's the first thing I'm going to take into consideration. They can reach me further away than what I can reach them. And if we're playing a long distance game, they're going to have an advantage because they can reach further. They can push me further. They can pull me from further away into them. They're going to have that advantage. The same way in boxing that a longer, taller player will usually use their jab and keep you at a distance, where the shorter boxers like Mike Tyson would try and use slick head movement to bob and weave those strikes, get in close, and then land, body rips or hooks to the head. The same thing happens in jiu-jitsu. I don't want to play the outside game against someone that's longer than me. I want to get in close and I want to close the distance, because I can now navigate the close spaces better than he can. My limbs are shorter, so that means I can get into tight spaces and out of tight spaces easier and quicker than what he can. He's going to have a much harder time trying to play that tight game than what I am. I'm going to be like a monkey climbing a tree. Okay, have you ever seen Lord of the Rings where you've got those big fucking Ents and the hobbits? I'm like a hobbit, okay? Probably a much better looking version, of course, but I'm still like a hobbit. So I want to make sure that I can control the tight spaces, and I want to make it a close game. And there's certain positions that are close game in jiu-jitsu. For example, single leg X guard, half guard. These are close games for guard. Why? Because I'm really tight to them. Single leg X, I'm wrapped around one leg. I'm super tight, so close to his hips. X guard, I'm right underneath his legs. I'm tangling him right up. Imagine he's a big tree and I'm bringing his roots together and I'm pushing him over. Half guard, I'm wrapped around one leg and wrapped around his hip. That's a really good position. If you watch Lucas Leitch, he's a lightweight, I believe, that fights in heavyweight, and he's won a few championships doing that because he plays that tight game, and he forces long guys and bigger, stronger guys to play a really close, tight game, and he wins that. If I was on top and I'm a small guy, the places I wouldn't want to be is in close guard. I mean, regardless, I never really want to be in close guard. The only time that it's not that bad is if you're way bigger than your opponent and maybe way fatter, then it's not so bad because one, it's hard to get someone to put you in close guard, and two, you can always bait them with triangles. You put your arm in, the guy tries to triangle, you realize his legs are too fucking short, and then bang, you smash him and then you smother him with your nipples. So I want to make sure I'm never in close guard. I'm never in spider guard, because then he has the ability to stretch me out like a puppet. Okay, he's going to have really long legs, so if he can stretch me out, I'm in trouble. De La Riva guard, the same thing. If he can use that, he can stretch me out. It's a long man's game. So these are positions that I don't really want to get stuck in. I want to force my way to half guard, get an underhook, get into half guard and start passing from there. I'll have a much bigger advantage as a small person passing like that, or passing double unders. You know, getting under both legs, that kind of stuff, stack passing. Those kind of things are going to benefit me a little bit more because I'm nice and tight to them. So the moment I see someone's taller than them, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure it's not a long distance game. Okay? I want to make sure that I'm not playing that. Now, on the other side, if I'm playing guard, I don't want to play spider guard at all. Okay? If I stretch my legs out, he can stand up and fucking throw them out of the way. If you're a short player playing spider guard against taller guys, you're going to get destroyed a lot and not realize why. It's not because your guard sucks, it's just because you're using the wrong guard against the wrong type of player. Like I said, use half guard, use single leg X, get underneath your players. So smaller guys are much better at burrowing in under your opponent, trying to go to their back so that your opponent puts his back on the ground to avoid getting his back taken, and then you get the sweep. That's what I do with most like bigger and taller people, is I try and get underneath them. I try and either attack their legs or attack their back so that they put their back on the ground to avoid me getting it, and then I get the sweep. And then I stay really close to them once again, okay? Now there's a lot of gray areas that could go both ways, and if you're the same size, then I guess you can play everything and you're gonna have to take a little bit more time to read it. But that's what I would do. If I'm going against someone that's shorter than me, then I'm going to want to do the opposite. I'm going to want to keep him at a long distance. I don't want him to be able to, shoot in on my legs if we're wrestling. I'm going to keep my hands pushing him away. I'm going to look at using my feet to foot sweep him and stuff like that, or snap him down. But I don't want to let him get underneath me and shoot for a double leg or something like that. It's going to be hard for a shorter person to like snap me down and guillotine me because they're quite short themselves. It's like taller players are going to have that advantage because they reach over the top of you. So they're the kind of things I would usually watch before I'm fighting someone, just to give me a good example of, it's not necessarily you know exactly the style they're going to play, but it's the style that if they play, they're going to have a huge advantage in. And if you're shorter and you play a tight game, you're going to have a much better time playing it. If you're taller and you start playing a long game, for example, tall people passing, if you start using Toriana passes and throwing their legs out of the way and like stepping right around them, you're going to have a good advantage because you're long and you can play that. If I try and Toriana somebody and I push their legs to the ground, I run around them, I end up on their hips still. I haven't even passed, they can just push me off. I have to get nice and tight and pass them a lot more methodically and tighter than what I can long distance. If you watch Keenan pass, he'll do a lot of long passing. If you watch myself pass, you'll see I do a lot of tight, close passing, similar to Rodolfo Vieira when he was playing. There is medium ranges and stuff, but that's for everyone. It doesn't matter too much. But it'll help you a lot knowing the difference between those two styles. And then you have more flexible people and you have weaker people that are really quick. If you're going against an opponent that's much quicker than you and lighter than you, then of course the first thing I'm going to do is try and take away his ability to move. I don't want him to move really quick and pass around me. I'm going to try and grab him and wrap him up and slow him right down. Then I take him into my world. Now you can't fucking move. I'm holding your legs together, you little shit. Now try and pass. It's hard. But if I let them have room to run around and move, it's going to be much harder. I do a similar thing when I'm playing with someone like that's tall and quick. I just try and get underneath them and wrap them up really quickly and lock onto them like a little dog humping their leg. That's what I'm going to hold on there and probably do a little less humping, but just hold my way in there and just slow them down. If I'm faster against someone stronger, then I don't want him to get any kind of control of me. I'm going to try and break every kind of control and move real quick. That'll help me a lot. And to move really quick and effective, what you have to do is you have to slow the pace. I have to slow things down so that when I do move quick, the change in pace is so great that it really tricks them. It's like the same thing when you're going on a freeway. Let's say you're in traffic, bumper to bumper traffic on a freeway. It's not moving. And then suddenly you get to like, you know, where you can go 90 miles. And then suddenly you're like, whoa, you're flying. It feels like you're going fucking light speed. Because that difference between what your brain's just gotten used to, really slow, and then speeding up is so great that it feels much more. Where if you were on the freeway the whole time, and then you go a little bit faster, it doesn't really make much sense. So if you're trying to use speed to beat your opponent, make sure that you slow the tempo right down so that when you do use your speed, there's such a great difference in tempo that it throws them off and it catches them off guard. If you're moving the whole time really quickly, their perception is going to be resonating on a level that's the same. They're going to get used to that. They'll be looking, okay, fuck, he's moving quick. I've got to be quick. But if you can get them to lower their awareness and calm down and then you move quick, it's going to make a much bigger difference. So stylistically, these are the kind of things I'm looking at. With the flexible players, I've got to understand, okay, if he's super flexible, he's probably used to getting pinned and, you know, stretched and stacked and stuff like that. So I'm not going to try and do that. I'm going to try and take away his flexible ability. And usually, not always, if they're flexible, they're not as strong. So that I can usually sort of tighten and squeeze their legs together while trying to pass. Instead of stretching their legs right out and stacking them where they feel usually pretty comfortable, I'm going to try and squish his legs together and force them in a position where the flexibility is no advantage anymore. So these are kind of things that I think would help a lot, you know, people a lot more if they just approach jiu-jitsu like that. Anyway, let me know if this helped you or not. If it did, please like and share, let your friends know about it. If you have any questions or things you don't agree with, please leave them in the comments, or anything you'd like me to talk about in the future. Please leave in the comments, and I'll be doing videos like this almost every day or every second day. Okay, once again, thank you for watching. Go check out all my products at kitdaletraining.com. And have a great Christmas and New Year's coming up. I'll probably have more videos before then, so I'm going to say it at the back of every one of them. But thank you for watching, and once again, say hi to your mum for me.